Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still with you and our morning edition of The Breakfast Show. And as promised earlier today, we discuss in more depth Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouly's inauguration of the first phase of a project to develop the global village land in October Gardens in partnership between the Sovereign Fund of Egypt and the best expertise from the private sector in the field of education. We're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest, Dr. Nabil Gad, our education expert. Dr. Nabil, a very good morning to you, sir. Dr. Nabil? Good morning, doctor. How are you? Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us, doctor. First, sir, could you talk to us a bit about the extent of Egypt's interest in promoting the development of human resources, how the development of the educational sector, of course, is an investment in human capital?
Well, do you hear me? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, I can hear you, doctor.
Okay, all fine. Well, you asked me about the participation of the private sector in the investment of education. Right. As a matter of fact, this partnership of the Egyptian private sector and the public sector, which is the MOE, Ministry of Education, of course, is something which is really necessary nowadays, because as we usually say that a bird cannot fly with one wing, or one hand cannot clap. So this cooperation, which is so fruitful, giving a lot of chances to enforce the quality of education we are now seeking. And His Excellency, the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouly, mentioned earlier that when he was a Minister of Housing, he found that there are so many areas of land which are these areas are vacant, and why not to use such areas to building schools that deal with the most up-to-date technological applications, especially the applied technology. And this is actually a very important and significant, they play a very important and significant role in the education of our new generation. So there are, I think he already inaugurated 4 schools recently, and he said that we aim at having 100 schools, or moreover in the future to have 400 schools divided not only in the capital cities like Cairo, Alex, and so forth, but to have for each governorate at least 10 schools. These are statistical things. I'm not giving something out of my own thinking. But these are statistical information which I gathered to explain what he said. We also gave instructions, I think, to Dr. Fagadi, the Minister of Education, to give priority to such schools and giving them all the facilities needed for that.
Absolutely. Right. Dr. Nabil, to what extent do you see the state's keenness to develop the education system to keep pace with the global developments as well as support the national economy and cater for the workforce?
Well, the development of education nowadays is a must. And it's also an international trend which we cannot avoid. And the sustainable development and the investment in education, believe me, is really so important that nobody can deny. All nations, if they have this sustainable development in education, will give very good chance for the uprising generation, because they are our hope for the future. Our dreams will come true when we always perceive and achieve. That's what I usually believe. If we have a very good roadmap for education, I do believe that this will be very fruitful, and we will see the results which are so important for us to serve especially, let us mention the middle class families whose income is not so high to pay high tuition fees for the international schools, even bank schools, maybe experimental schools we have in Egypt now, plus the governmental schools are okay. But we have something reasonable. EP will, for sure, will encourage these families and their children, learners, students, to go on this track to cope with the international system and to improve the competition system and to also get a feedback with them, which will help them to find better jobs in the labor market.
Absolutely. Right. Dr. Nabil, also these schools are aimed at contributing to creating a different educational system in which students can combine science, technology, engineering and mathematics with the participation of both, the state as well as the private sector to cater for the needs of the workforce. How important do you see this approach, Doctor?
Yeah, I see that this is actually a commitment for all of us.
Yes.
Not only the governmental bodies, but also the private sector bodies as well, because this will give a very good opportunity to have a strategic self-motivation. And they have dreams. They are not building dreams in the air, but they are building for their own future. And if they are patient enough, I know some of these children, usually in summer, they go and work, maybe to help their parents, to pay the tuition fees, and this help and this feeling of bearing or sharing the responsibility to be shouldered by their parents will for sure give them a very gigantic push to their future, which will be, all of us will be proud of them along the time.
Absolutely right. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Dr. Nabil Gad, our education expert. Thank you very much, sir, for your time and for joining us on today's edition of The Breakfast Show. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break, and we'll be back to continue our episode. Do stay tuned.